Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back now to the Nanyang Championships. We're going to be taking a look at game number 1 between Infamous and EnemyGG. I'm Lyrical, joined today by Gorgon the Wonder Cow. Sir, how are you doing and how are you feeling about these two matched up against each other? Hello? Gorgon? I believe that I have you muted or something. Are you muted on your other end? Are we here? Are we there? He's excited. I can feel it in his bones that he is very excited for this matchup. I'm just going to keep on talking until I can hear him on the other side. But yeah, it's Infamous versus EnemyGG. It's the first phase of this this qualifying match that we've been having. Again, a tournament that's coming up that could mean a lot for a lot of these teams. You've got a series here of players. EnemyGG who have somewhat been struggling to find their place. Meanwhile, Infamous, another squad that kind of took a little bit of a dive after their really stellar performance right when they started out. Gorgon, you here with me, buddy? Hello? Oh, goodness gracious. I'm not sure if I can hear you. Can't hear you. Don't worry, we're going to get this all sorted out. It's going to be lovely. Everything in the whole course of Dota 2 is going to be great. I promise you all that this is definitely not a problem right now. Let me just make sure that I'm outputting to the stream right here. And it does look like everything should be working. Really sorry about this. But we can start talking about the picks a little bit, and for the moment at least, I will my Escape is registering. You know, let's try one more thing. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna go over to this, and we are going to do this, and we're gonna try that out and see if that happens to work for us. Let's see if he pops into here in just a second. He probably should. Hello, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh my goodness, I can't hear a thing. Hello. Oh, hey, there you are. Hello, how you doing?
Have you got me? Okay, I'm going to leave Skype because hearing you echo like God is freaking me out. Okay, I guess Discord Master Race. Yeah. That's what we do.
Apparently, that's a pretty interesting thing. How are you doing today? And can you tell me a little bit about Infamous and EnemyGG, or just NA Dota in general, whatever you're feeling, or the draft?
Let's talk about it. I mean, I'm excited to be here for Infamous and GG. This really is a sort of toss-up game. Neither of these teams getting a ton of practice as of late, outside of a couple of qualifier games here and there. I will say I'm excited to see EnemyGG, see how they match up. Obviously, Banana Slam Jamma is drafting for them. He is largely maybe the lightning rod for either love or hate from fans around the world. And, you know, he has not been able to fully commit to EnemyGG as of late. You know, he's been in school. He just recently got through finals. He was competing at DreamHack at the Collegiate Star League that I was casting last weekend, right? Like, the guy had to play his EnemyGG games in Austin from a LAN cafe in between playing for the Collegiate Star League. So I'm glad to see, or I'm excited to see, how they're going to come together over the course of the summer when they really are going to have the full attention for BSJ and some of their other players and really have an opportunity to look into it. Infamous, we haven't been seeing a whole ton out of them as of late, but they are a team known for their ability to kind of come out of nowhere, right? This is a squad of players that do have a tendency to tilt, but when they don't, they have a tendency to blow other, at least South American teams out of the water.
Yeah, and you know, this is the thing that it's always felt like for me, is that in the South American scene, there's such a heavy divide, in much the same way you find in North American Dota as well, where the top teams really are sort of that cream of the crop. They're able to run drafts that work really well with them, and they tend to have signature picks too. That's something that I feel like has always been more of the case, is that for South American teams, they've followed more their individual play style as opposed to what everybody else is doing, and it's worked out for them to pretty good success when they've been able to actually, you know, have heroes that work well within the general meta as well. So Lifestealer is going to be the first pick. A little bit interesting. That did lead straight into the Slardar Enchantress and then followed up by the Crystal Maiden. So for EnemyGG, a couple of heroes right off the bat that do go through that BKB or piercing abilities. I really like Slardar against Lifestealer. Is the matchup a little bit scary, though? Is there anything behind this that we're not really seeing? What do you think it was that brought EnemyGG to want to try and pick these heroes against the Lifestealer? Oh God, you didn't disappear again, did you?
Have you got me still? Have you got me?
I've
I'm not sure
gotcha.
what's going on there. Okay. What I was trying to say, I just realized Discord uses a different mic than my Skype uses and my Dota uses, so I'm going to fix that here very shortly. That's not the same cause of the problem, whatever the deal with was with Skype. So we'll have that fixed right now, I think. And yeah, there we go. Should
Oh,
be
you sound
fixed.
so lovely. Look at that. That was
There you go.
beautiful.
How's that sound?
That
There we
was
go.
really
Get
good.
Discord to use the right microphone. Get my studio mic in here. All right. So for the Life Stealer, I think you mentioned, right, there's the negative armor, there's the pure damage to rage. You've got a lot of kiting potential out of the Enchantress. You've got a lot of kiting potential out of the Slardar. They work up pretty well into the Life Stealer. I feel like for Infamous, they don't run this Life Stealer very often, and it may very well just be a pick as a ban. The Lifestealer is the most picked hero for EnemyGG over the last month. Obviously, Banana Slam Gemma, both in pubs and in his professional and semi-professional games, really loves to run that hero and has a variety of strategies that they utilize. We even saw him running it with the CSL team at DreamHack. It's just a hero that the dude loves.
Yeah.
So Infamous, even though they don't tend to rely on the hero very much, they seem to be comfortable not giving it to BSJ as possible.
Yeah, and they also banned out the Troll Warlord here too. That was a hero that was played, I think, twice yesterday in their games when they were playing in Canada Cup. Another sort of, I mean, that's the thing that's also interesting is there's like these built-in meta games within all of these teams because they play each other in so many different qualifiers, and so you see these types of bans that, you know, can you imagine in Epicenter if we ended up seeing this as an opening potentially? Like it's just completely
Right.
and totally flipped around. But yeah, so we've got the Crystal Maiden that's taken, and that led us into the Dragonite ban as well as the Troll Warlord and the Alchemist. I've got to say, I do feel like it's a little bit one of these situations where it doesn't all a lot of the drama and the conversations and discourse that surround this team tend to revolve around BSG, but they've also got a really strong squad built around them as well. I mean, I've seen Sovereign play really great throughout. I think I've seen him in a ton of high level pubs, and he tends to just play a really solid game as well. So I don't think that it all has to come down to BSJ having a good game here, and they're building heroes that do sort of all do their own individual jobs very effectively too.
Yeah, I think that BSJ really, like I said, he's the lightning rod for either love or hate for this team, and partially it's just because he's the more well-known player. He publicizes himself more and better, and the team is just honestly just not that well-known, even within the Americas, but especially outside of the Americas. Right? They play mostly regional stuff like the Canada Cup, and only diehard Americas fans really watch that sort of stuff compared to the general Dota audience. But then even more diehard fans, or it takes an even more diehard fan to start to learn the teams that are playing at the more regional level. And the same thing is true for teams that are boiling in the regional pot of Europe and boiling in the regional pot of Southeast Asia, right? These are niches that not the entire audience is going to know or understand, and certainly not all of the casters are going to know or understand because we can't know every single possible team from every region. And so BSJ he's just better known in general, and he kind of takes the brunt of that. But Sovereign, Frozen, both very, very good players. I honestly, EnemyGG have a lot of potential, and a big part of the issue that they've had in general is an inability to effectively show that they are communicating and execute as a team.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably the most important thing is that we've always talked about. I think that Dota as a whole has shifted very generally from like a situation where it was individual skill to now teamwork trumps that every single time. And we're starting to see a couple of these picks come out now as well. The Lion, the Earth Spirit, and the Slark all going to be taken. It's also worth noting for anybody out there that's watching, there are two stand-ins that are playing, one for Infamous and one for EnemyGG. We've got Lycan here, it's spelled with an E, who's going to be playing. I'm not exactly sure which position he is, but I think it's support. And then also up here, Gasupi Motarsati is actually also, I think, going to be tagged up as Matthew, and he's a player from Lucchini. So two stand-ins, maybe a little bit of trouble with the synergy we might end up seeing if that's the case, but Invoker is going to be taken. Is there a lineup that you feel like is sort of starting off to try and accomplish anything early here? I kind of feel like Slark is always that be-all, end-all late-game carry that can just destroy if you get enough farm on the hero.
Yeah, Slark is, because of his stat seal, his attack speed, and his ability to kind of be circuitous around a fight, is very strong in terms of hero combat in the late game. But what he really loves to do is grab some early mobility and take early picks. You know, he farms for a little while, he'll get a Shadow Blade, then he'll go and find a Crystal Maiden in the jungle and just destroy her, and then move back to farming. And every time he can find an easy support grab, he will. I think EnemyGG, they definitely seem to be looking to scale into more of a mid-game strategy with the Enchantress, Slardar, get some base items up, maybe a Blink Dagger on the Lion as well, and then start to roll into tier 1s, kind of take it a little easier. For Infamous, the Earthsphere and Crystal Maiden imply to me that they really want to get going pretty quickly. Get that Invoker probably is going to be Quas Wex Invoker if I had to guess, but the Exhort could fit here if they want to start to knock down towers with the Forge Spirits. And try to get that Lifestealer going as quickly as possible so that they can apply pressure onto the Slark before he really gets going, before he really has an opportunity to respond.
I always think about when I'm looking at Enchantress too, this hero that wants to be able to be a part of some early pushing types of lineups, or at least be able to make stuff happen. But the other part of it too is that, you know, you can find a catch with the Lion, and then she's there to take a tower afterwards with a couple of those creeps that she's brought in. But Infamous go back for the axe. So assuming that this is going to be that off-lane axe, potentially, do you think that they try and run Earth Spirit in that lane, or is he just going to be sort of that mobile roaming type of hero with Crystal Maiden more tied to that safe lane? Like, I'm concerned about the safe lane of Infamous.
Yeah, I think that this is very typical to have a hard roamer this patch. One of the reasons, there are a couple of reasons for that, and not only was it already kind of in vogue, but, you know, the changes to experience and the changes to gold income have made it less viable to have a tri-lane. And the changes to the jungle over the last couple of patches have made it less viable to do a ton of stacking and knocking down stacks. So having the advantages of a tri-lane have dissipated quite a bit, whereas the advantages of having a hero like Earthspirit who can roll into the mid lane and shut somebody like a Puck down, help really make sure that there's another core that comes out, really has been elevated in the overall metagame. And you're going to see that with Infamous's overall strategy, right? The Earth Spirit's going to roam, trying to make sure that the Invoker gets going that much faster so that Invoker and Lifestealer can both window or get what you would call, you know, power spikes short of that 15-minute mark so that they can try to collapse in and take away territory before that Slark gets rolling. That seems to be the game plan as far as I can tell.
All right, we're going to switch on over into the game in just a second. We'll have a little cool transition here. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Music is playing on the other side. We got production value out the wazoo, everybody. Production value out the wazoo. And now we're going to switch on over into the in-game. My goodness gracious, I've never done that before. I felt so cool. Oh, no. The problem, though, I do think we're having a couple of disconnects. And I also have the mini-map glitch, so I'm going to switch it over to that and let you pontificate a little bit more. Well, I guess that I can ask, the last pick Puck, considering we talked about these heroes who have very strong roaming ability early in the game, how do you feel like that hero is going to do in lane? Like, is he going to be able to stand up to the pressure that an Earth Spirit puts on in those early stages?
Puck is really difficult to kill. So into a roamer, Puck is a pretty safe call. In general, he's very mobile, very early. And even though he does not have a whole ton of health, he's hard to get a lock on. The issue I see with the Puck is a potential silence combo out of that Earth Spirit. But moreover, I'm not sure that Puck can really just outlane a 1.5 against 1, where he's got an Invoker, and Invoker just is wildly more diverse in the lane in terms that he can bring a ton of right-click damage, and he can switch over to having a bunch of regen. Puck doesn't have a whole ton of nuke to try and force the guy out of lane. They're probably going to require some rotation into the mid lane at some point, but because of the sort of greedy draft that they have, that's going to fall on the Lion. Slardar is not the best of all lane supports in any sort of way here for Enemy. So I could very much see this Puck being a weak linchpin in the overall strategy and starting to see the lanes collapse out of Enemy's favor. On the flip side to that, though, if Enemy do not get punished for that draft, if that weak point is not executed on, and if the rotations are not forced out, then they should scale into the mid game very, very effectively, right? The negative armor from the Slardar, the pure damage from the Enchantress, BSJ will be able to flash farm pretty effectively as well. Lion's got 2 disables, which makes up for the lack of hard and reliable range stuns coming out from Enemy, and they do have the Puck, who will probably go into that just magical damage boost build coming out here and try to move into the mid game with a fair amount of force. So I think the early game, really it is on Infamous to try and make sure something is happening with this Earth Spirit. If Earth Spirit has a good early game, then Infamous will roll into the mid game with an advantage. If he does not, more than likely Enemy is going to get the space that they need in order to scale.
And talking about the little puns that come out if he's able to roll into that mid game, I love it. It's wonderful. The observer ward, by the way, is placed down early, so it's going to allow him to find a little bit more potentially with that. And it does look like it might end up being, at least for the moment, a Quas Exord Invoker. He could go back later on to go into some more points in the Wex just to make sure that he has the alacrity at the early levels to mess with the puck. But I kind of like the idea of it. I mean, you look at what they've got as far as setup goes. You get a Frostbite into a Sunstrike. That's a lot of damage, particularly against something like an Enchantress. With this very low base HP, this could be a great way to try and find those kills. You can phase shift out of Frostbite. I'm not mistaken there, am I?
No, I believe that you can, though I guess we will see. That's not an interaction that I've seen a whole bunch because Crystal Maiden has not been popular since like 6, 7, 8 or something like that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
She hasn't been popular since she got her move speed nerfed into oblivion.
Oh, it's so sad. 280.
Oh, that's sad, slow lady, but she is made of ice. How fast do you expect her to move? Come on.
That's a good point.
There's a reason that icebergs are a stereotype for slow things.
Absolutely, it's definitely true. Well, yeah, it looks like, at least for now, it is going to be the Axe that heads down towards this bottom lane. No real surprise as far as that is concerned, and Invoker is going to head mid. So, kind of an interesting matchup. I think that, you look at the base damages here, and when he's going for that Exort, actually going to end up going eventually back for that Ring of Aquila, as he already has a Wraith Band picked up for himself. I think that he should have a fairly decent time here, and already starting out with 1 deny. He's got a pretty good base damage increase over the puck as the lane goes on.
Down bottom, the Lion did open up with Brown Boots, which implies that he is very well aware of his requirements into the mid lane, potentially, the rotation that is going to be coming out. And we are going to have this be actually an off-lane Slardar with a jungler, maybe semi-support Enchantress. This is the old school way to run an Enchantress, but we honestly haven't seen her run as a non-core for very long. This additional level of greed just makes it all the more important that Enemy do not allow themselves to be punished through this early game. They need to have absolutely perfect lane positioning. Because down a hero at this stage in the game, especially into an Earth Spirit who is able to just kind of harass in and boulder through the defensive lines, it is extremely harsh to deal with if you do have a jungler.
Yeah, this is a little bit scary. I think that this is going to be why they end up rotating down here as well. Or Frozen maybe is just going to try and do some more stacks. Now he's going to wrap around this. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to find a kill on this Axe. He does have a Fairy Fire, and now he's going to stick around a little bit too long, but a lot of damage going back onto the Slark, and this should just end up being a kill. The Enchantress rotates in, and they're going to be able to find it. First Blood going the way of Frozen.
Yeah, really nice rotation in. Probably not necessary, but the fact that he knew well enough in advance that he might be needed and started moving gives me a little more faith on the Enchantress pick in the jungle, right?
Oh, that was a little bit unfortunate there. The stand-in on the Earth Spirit, unfortunately, missed the Boulder Smash onto Sovereign. That probably would have been a kill with the Sunstrike coming out from the Invoker, but not going to end up being the case this time around. And we actually do see the Invoker go for the 1-1-1 build to open it up, which allows him to have Alacrity. And now the wraparound, you do have Lycan as well as Frozen in the area, and they might be able to find something, but it does look like the Earth Spirit's going to be there. They go for the phase shift, not going to be able to find the Drizzle as of yet, but the damage is going to start to come. He does manage to jaunt back, and that is going to be not a kill, although they have a chance.
The other one.
Invoker just going to end up going down. He goes for the Fairy Fire, but overextensions. Enemy take advantage.
Very nice play by Enemy. With, once again, the rotations out of Frozen, I'm honestly pretty impressed by the way that the Enchantress has not only been managing to grab just the creep she needs for all of these rotations, but that she's had enough of a map sense to jump out of the jungle, even though she's only level 2, and being a part of these kills, helping out her cores in what is traditionally just considered a more greedy pick, right? A semi-jungler is never... it's always a little greedy, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah. No, I would agree. It is sort of one of those things, though, where you pick up 2 of the creeps and then you start making moves through the map. This is probably... I mean, it's flirting with the line of going for greed, and I think that as long as she keeps on coming back to one of these lanes and keeping Infamous on their toes, she's going to probably have a pretty good time with it, as we've already seen. But Axe going to keep running at people. I don't know how much of an early game. There's been a lot of talk about Axe being able to scale later now. Does he still have to be that early game bully? Like, does he have to get off to a good start? Oh God.
Oh well, he needs to not die twice in a row.
Oh,
which
he's actually going to be able to do it. Oh my goodness, that was really unfortunate. Oh man, BSJ unfortunately ended up missing his pounce, and that meant that they did not find the kill on the Axe, and he gets away. That is huge. Oh
yeah,
no.
RNG. Right? That was exactly what he needed. If that one attack had not created a spin, he would have died. But instead he gets a double kill. What I was just about to say is that I don't think Axe needs to get off to a monstrous start, right? He doesn't need to be a lane bully, which is one of the reasons why you're seeing him played in the off lane instead of the jungle, and you're seeing him played with rarely any heavy support access as well. But it helps if he can, and he's certainly capable of doing it, especially if he gets lucky on a couple of those spins.
Oh, man. A little bit unfortunate up there in the top lane as Sovereign was able to somewhat bait out the lifestealer. He got into tower range, then he was able to hit a crush and a couple more tower shots, as well as a few right clicks, ended up sealing his fate. So a nice kill by him, and I gotta say, despite the early kills that happened in the bottom lane by the Axe, they're still off to a great start. The Drizzle taking a lot of damage. Needs to be a little bit careful. They've already got Alacrity forward. They are going to be able to get the silence with the Earth Spike follow-up. This might be enough to finish him off, and healing up. He's trying to get away with the Wex Orbs. I think that he's still dead, though, and nothing was going to save him.
Puck is just a little too mobile for that sort of Wex Orb strategy to work out here. He's not a mid that you can really escape once he starts to hone in on you. The mobility of that illusory orb jaunt is too much. I do like that Infamous got the double kill on the Axe. They got what he needed for that Iron Talon, and then they left him to the jungle and are now allowing Earth Spirit to come down here and soak levels. Well, the reason I like this is because if Enchantress is going to be in the jungle, but your opponents are going to scale much more evenly into the mid game through that additional surge of golden experience that is on their fourth spot, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of being absolutely forced to try and boulder them in before they get a chance to utilize that farm advantage, just take a farm advantage, even the playing field. Put the Axe into the jungle, make it work.
Absolutely. Well, now he's going to end up rotating in with the DD. He's going to be chasing after Sovereign and does have a call available. The Crush comes out preemptively, so going to dissuade him from doing that. But this might be a push towards the lane. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it. A little bit of a misplay by both there as the call and the orb don't end up hitting, but they're going to end up backing out. That was a really odd collection of plays from both teams there.
Yeah, the Puck making sure that he had an escape route away from the call. But he read Axe like a book in that case. And Axe, I mean, the double damage doesn't honestly even matter because he barely right-clicks at all, right? You really want his damage to be coming from the spins at this stage in the game. But especially if you are going for a 3-level counter Helix. I mean, every time he gets one of the spins, that's 150 pure damage. That's crazy at this stage in the game, right? Lion can take 4 of those.
It's really absurd. They're going to smoke up now. It's been a fairly action-packed start to this one so far. Do you feel like one team is more comfortable coming out of this laning stage right now over the other ones? I mean, you see that the Axe has been able to get off to a good start, but a little bit of a fight brewing up in the top lane as they're going to be going after the life. So on the other side, the Puck is already out of there, does not want to be a part of this anymore. Lycan trying to run away, doesn't commit the Earth Spike as of yet. And meanwhile, Sovereign's going to be able to run out the other direction. I think that they actually just get out with everybody here. A really nice Earth Spike again from Lycan, but he is going to end up getting chopped one last time by the Axe, but that could have gone a whole hell of a lot worse. He's actually still chasing down this Puck, and Dreamcoil has to be committed for this. The Drizzle silenced up, going to be able to phase shift away. A lot of damage getting out of there, and I think that he does end up going down. That was really close to a great escape, though.
Yeah, he almost got that, John. If he hadn't been able to cast the Illusory Orb before he went Ethereal, or before, excuse me, he phase shift, he would have certainly escaped, but the cooldown was just not quite there. One slight benefit to that, at least, though, is that Infamous were grouped up pretty much their whole team to make that happen. Whereas Enemy were pulling out, farm from across the map. They have this Enchantress now split pushing down this bottom tower uncontested, so Frozen continuing to do just a spectacular job opening up space in really a way that I did not expect her to. Once again, I was caught a little off guard by how effective this Enchantress pick has already been.
Well, and that's the thing is that, I mean, she did definitely get nerfed in the last patch, but it was mainly to that damage that she deals, with her impetus. So if you're sort of having a situation where you're still able to get a lot of stuff done early, then the hero's still being effective. Slark, meanwhile, has been able to get up to level 8 right now. Infused Raindrops are on his person, as well as the Ring of Aquila. Given that he already went for this Iron Talon, is there any chance that we go back to see a Midas, or is this sort of going to need to transition into some more fighting now that the Lifesteal already has his armlet?
Yeah, I think he'll transition directly into some sort of a ganking item, right? So maybe go into a Shadow Blade or something like that. I don't think we're going to see him go into a Midas. It would be coming out pretty late for a farming carry. Invoker, you can get away with a later Midas because he is in the mid lane, and he really only wants it for the levels anyway. I mean, the gold is nice, but really you're getting that Midas so that you get your spells all up to be strong as fast as possible. Same reason that you might get it on a Witch Doctor or an Ancient Apparition or whatever. You're getting it for the levels. A farming carry usually gets it for the gold. And if you're pulling it out close to or after 10 minutes, it won't have paid off until 30 plus minutes. Usually like 30, 35 minutes at earliest. And by that point in time, games are often basically ended. So, you need to get that up super early if you are a farming carry.
Well, it looks like they're going to transition into treads now. Lifestealer's been flirting with danger up here. He's living right on the edge with almost no HP. Actually goes into the Rage. Sovereign overextended for this one. He was baiting him out for so long and does end up being able to find the kill with the Infest Bomb. Turns it back around with the Hex. Is going to be able to find him there. Gets the Earth Spike follow-up, and Enchantress now going to chase. They might be able to find this kill. He's trying to armlet toggle away, but it looks like he actually might be able to do this. Turns around, and Rages is just going to try and go after the Slark, and he's still going to be able to get away from there. This Lifestealer's a madman, never going to die ever, and I think that he's actually just going to be able to walk away from this one. Oh god, the freezing field, able to get him away from that. This Lifestealer, are you kidding me? How did that happen?
Wow,
19 armlet toggles.
Armlet. That needs I don't even have words for that. They keep throwing small minimal nerfs at it over and over again, but that just reminded me of the original armlet where the toggle was instant. I don't know if you remember those days. The armlet toggles back then were pretty real, but it's even more impressive when he's doing it now and there's a time delay in between.
Oh my god, yeah, that was really very, very well executed. Sometimes when I'm armlet toggling, I just feel like I'm hitting the button and hoping that things end up going my way, but you could tell right there, it was like every little right click he was able to get away from it. Keep in mind that also there was like pure damage in there, the DOT that came in from the Slark when he got his pounce off, like all of those things working in conjunction, and this Lifestealer pick first, I was doubting it at the beginning, and it's really working out for them, even with just this one item.
Yeah. A Lifestealer only needs one item to get going. That's one of the reasons why he is effective into a generally more mid-game oriented lineup, a semi-greedy lineup.
Oh god.
And
oh, and now Axe is just going to be able to walk away from this one, maybe? They actually went out for the Finger of Death. They found one. Lycan is maybe going to go down. They're trying to kill off this Lifestealer again, but he is too freaking tanky. I don't think that there's any way they kill him off right now. The tier 2 is already down. Like, they just completely dismantled the side of Enemy right here at the start, and you take a look at the difference in terms of team net worth. It was even only a few minutes ago, like a minute ago literally, and now they're off to a 3,000 gold lead.
yeah, that's almost entirely tower gold as well. So they definitely need to leverage it into further advantage, because if you do just take tower gold and then kind of sit on your laurels, your opponents will eventually catch up when they crack the picky banks of your tower. One thing that I do just want to point out is that this is exactly what I said in the draft Infamous need to do, right? I said they need to get active sub that 15-minute mark. They need to start approaching onto tier 1 and potentially tier 2 towers at that point to make sure that they're getting in before the Slark is getting active. And they read that situation exactly right. They're moving in as soon as they get the core items that they need, right? They've got the Midas up on the Invoker so that he'll continue to scale. Even if he's grouped up with his team, he'll continue to get experience. The Axe has a Blink Dagger. He just skips straight over into the mobility so that he has the initiation along with the Earth Spirit. And they've got the Armlet on Lifesteal. They realize that there's no combination of items coming out of Enemy that are going to be comparable to that. The Shadow Blade is up on Slark, but that's not going to be a tremendously valuable team fighting item. It's really more of a gank item. He did just get spotted out.
Oh god, they drop down the sentry. They see him there. They're going to be able to get the call. Oh no, a little bit of damage coming out. They do break the freezing field though, and there's the turnaround as well. They're trying to find a kill here onto the Slark, barely staying alive against all that damage, and does finally go down. He was revealed by that ward right there, which took away his regeneration, wasn't able to survive through it, and now Puck goes down as well. 3 dead. Infamous. My goodness, you talked about it. The way that they come online this early, Enemy just aren't ready for them.
Yeah, and I thought that they might be. They're going to move on to the Invoker here in the mid lane, try to get a consolation prize.
They don't have Finger of Death, unfortunately. Do get the Blind Earth Spike. Pretty fancy footwork right there, and able to find the Hex as well. Can they get this kill? There's a couple more Impetus shots turning around. Oh, nice Tornado. The lift up. Sovereign trying to find it. A little bit of a pump fake there of himself, and it does look like they're going to finally be able to find the kill, but gets the Midas off to make sure that he gets that value efficiency. And now, maybe, though, for that chase, they're going to lose a tier 2.
Yeah, I don't know that there was a lot of defensive potential on this tier 2 anyway, and wow, BSJ is actually going to move in.
Oh, he's going to be going right now. Doesn't even be able to get off that catch, and this is going to be the axe dropping very low. They are maybe going to be able to find this kill. Again, Kaitaro Hayama trying to chase down the Slark and just barely out of range. Not going to be able to find the kill. 7 HP. Can they get him? He wants it so badly. Tried to get the Infest Bomb even, but it looks like he is going to be able to make a little escape here in this creep wave. They're trying to find which one's real, but can they actually get him out of here alive?
They're actually going to move on him.
Oh, Finger of Death comes out. Not going to be able to get it as of yet. Not going to be able to get the... Oh, Armwood Togway! Are you freaking kidding me? He kills off the Slark! Oh, Kaitaro Hayama. What a player.
That's not playing. This is beyond the games. This is serious business. That man... He's got like a time machine. He's going back with the exact combat log of when he needed the toggle.
Ooh. And now also looking at this one, the Invoker is going to get jumped on, and that is going to be another kill going their way. Very nicely played. Again, keep in mind that this is the guy who ended up being able to make it into the Frankfurt Major qualifiers playing his Huskar, where he would rush Armlet, first item, no boots. So he certainly knows how to use it really effectively, and showing off his skills here, it's lead him to the top of the net worth.
Yeah, they are just devastating Enemy at this stage. That does not mean Enemy are necessarily out of it. Right. The kill count is still relatively close. All of the advantage that is going the way economically of Infamous right now is tower advantage. Right, Enemy are actually farming more right now across the map than Infamous are in terms of overall creep goal. So once again, if they can continue to sort of control the pace of the game a little bit, Enemy, if they stall out their opponents, especially since their opponents are grouping up as 4 now, which means they are going to slip out of experience lead. And you can actually see that ever since they started grouping up, their experience lead has stalled out and has started to come back. And those last couple of kills certainly didn't help that process at all. They're going to group up as 5 and smoke. This is probably the play, but the more often they do this, the more they need results.
Ooh, and they're actually going to be going instead straight into Roshan. So the DD on Lifestealer makes them feel comfortable going in for this one, and I don't think that Enemy have like any idea that this is happening. They are going to be able to not scout out the Earth Spirit who's up on the high ground. He's smoked up, and they think that this is probably pretty safe. So a quick and easy Roshan going the way of Infamous. This is what they need. One other thing I want to mention, like you see right here, the Enchantress ends up going for the Lifestealer. I really like this pick because it's going to help to keep alive that Lifestealer, but then you've also got the Slardar, who's now going for the Hand of Midas. So he's going to try and transition into one of those damage-dealing heroes in the late game, which I think that they're really going to need. When is the point where they're going to feel comfortable? Is there an item where maybe this ends up paying off for Sovereign when he ends up getting it, then they're going to feel comfortable with where they're at, or is it more just a game state in general?
I think it's a game state in general. Honestly, I don't love the Midas pick here for the exact same reason that I talked about not getting a late Midas on the Slark, right? You mentioned the 4-staff up on Enchantress to kite out the Lifestealer. I think, honestly, a 4-staff up on Sovereign in addition to the Blink Dagger, which is a more typical build as of, like, last November. I think that would do really well here. You're making sure that you're able to get people away from the Earth Spirit, making sure you're able to get people away from the Axe and the Lifestealer would be of tremendous value. And now, having gone into the Midas, they're basically saying, we're going to bet everything we have that we can stall this game out for another 15-20 minutes.
Ooh. And they actually are. They don't quite get the the call onto Lycan as of yet. He doesn't have his Blink Dagger and is actually going to be able to get taken down. That was pretty close. Again, the Lifestealer bomb always showing itself off. Oh, tries to get the call. Didn't quite get it there onto the Slark, though, and so because of that, he is going to be able to get out. They are doing a good job of pulling them across the map, you gotta admit. Oh my god, the Crystal Maiden gave the deny on the mid tower. They're gonna pay for that one a little bit. They might be able to kill off the Drizzle, though. The puck does manage to go down and gonna be able to reapply the Magnetize onto Sovereign, looking for a little bit more. Can they find a kill? They are going to be able to chase over this direction. He realizes that he might be in the area and is going to try and walk into there. They find him a couple punches and VAC confirmed. They are going to rotate in now, and with the Slark still around, I don't know if they want to fight this, though. I think that they just need to try and get out. I really think that they need to sacrifice the Slardar here.
Slardar had Blink Dagger up when he was hiding in the goddamn woods. And then he let Darkstar walk up and knock on the door. Like, I don't understand what happened there. That was my confusion. Yeah. He had Blink Dagger up. He was safe to get away. And he just would rather die.
It's a sad life. It's a really sad one. Well, we're looking at this situation now, and it's, you know, still a pretty big net worth lead for all of the cores, but you are seeing a situation where Enchantress is starting to get a couple of these items. Like, Dragonlance is up now. How effective is she going to be in these fights? Is she going to be able to transition into, like, another core if she gets a couple more thousand net worth, or what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, once she gets that Dragonlance upgraded, right, she should be able to just knock the crap out of Lifestealer. But speaking of having the crap knocked out of him, geez, that puck did not have a good day. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about the kiting potential onto the Lifestealer, the Hurricane Pike, just being able to go in here.
Oh, that was a little bit sketchy. Sovereign's still going to get lifted up. They are going to be able to get the call. They went for the crush, but he still had a couple of, like, half-second left of that enrage, and they weren't quite able to time it out perfectly. And so because of that, they end up losing the Slardar. It feels like everything like that. There's just these little pieces that aren't quite working together perfectly. Like, a little bit of miscommunications here and there, and it's ended up meaning that Infamous are just off to a great start.
Yeah, it feels a lot like they're a finely tuned watch with a couple grains of sand in there. You know, it's every now and then you just see this little moment, this bubble where the team is not really competing together. They're really just competing alongside each other, and you can't have that.
Oh, Finger of Death. They do
Toggle
finish
that.
it. That's like a one-liner from a movie. That's wonderful. I love it. Slark does find the kill onto Crystal Maiden in the backlines. Might be able to find that one easy. He's going to get forward staffed to the high ground. They jump in, get the silence onto 3. Also a pretty nice Earth Spike following it up. Lifestealer is controlled for the moment, but Arma toggling back the other direction. Sovereign dropping low, but not dead. That was a pretty nice series of events there for Enemy. Lycan is pushing out, but no Blink Dagger for the follow. Again, they're just not quite maneuverable enough with some of these chase heroes.
Yeah, the high ground is going to be very difficult here. Unless
they actually are going to be able to find the Invoker, but Ghost walk away. They're moving out pretty quickly. This could be a problem. Oh, a nice Earth Spike, though. Trying to turn it back around. The Lifestealer's still alive. Is going to be able to enrage. Arma toggles again. He's never going to die, ever. The right clicks are going on to him. He has the amp damage. They don't hit it. He actually jukes them out a third time. Infests inside of the Earth Spirit and now goes for the Infest Bomb to find the kill. Lifestealer is an absolute madman. Frozen goes down. All 4 heroes are dead. Oh my god, Kataru Hayama. What a player.
Okay, so I was literally just trying to say, word for word, right? The high ground could be really difficult for Infamous unless Enemy chase out too far and die in bulk. That was the sentence I was trying to get out when that started. It's like, you can't be giving that up, right? High ground is the only space where they really have this advantage of the tower aura. They have the choke point working in their favor. It's much more difficult for the Lifestealer to manage the aggro from creeps and towers, and also Armlet toggle. There's a lot more for him to be focusing on. Lifestealer just rushed out an Assault Grass. He's not screwing around, Lyrical. This dude wants towers.
Yeah, he is. He's having none of their shenanigans. They do end up losing that tier 3 in the end as the Invoker was able to take it down. Did not quite get the deny on them, so you're looking at a net worth advantage roughly in that 10k mark with around 7,500 experience lead. they're in a great position. What do you feel like they need to try and finish this one out, or do you think that they can at this point? Do they we've talked about Enemy going into the late game, but do Infamous need to be worried about that, given the way that they've been able to progress in this game?
I think really all Infamous have to really worry about here is that they, as a team, have a habit of stalling on high ground, not being able to get it. It's a weakness of theirs as a squad, right? We see it over and over and over again. The only real worry that they should have right now is, are we going to screw this up trying to get high ground? And will we wait out too long? I think they would be reasonably well positioned if they manage to get a kill with this smoke, or they can wait till the next Roche. But that's as long as they can possibly wait. They need to make sure they're pulling this out as quickly as possible to make sure that they're solidifying this lead.
Well, right now, they might just get a free lane of racks, as the entire side of Enemy is up here in the top lane trying to avoid the gank, but they're literally inside their base and nobody is responding. Like, this to me just feels like a very peculiar situation. I don't know what their plan was at this point. They are going to be able to jump forward and get a silence, but that's a Alacrity'd up Lifestealer with an armlet AC. He is not going to step away from this. They might be able to find some type of kill, goes for the Enrage, and should just back out after this one, but they're still, like, in such a great position. They infest away, and they're fine. The silence only hits onto the axe in the meantime. They do have the chance to jump back in if they want. Force-staff call is going to be able to hit onto that Slardar. Is he going to end up going down, though? The Slark goes into his ulti form. They've been able to kill off one. The Lifestealer does finally go down. A lot of gold going back the way of the Lion. And now while the freezing field is there, I don't think it's enough to find any kills. On the other side, the Drizzle trying to run away. They do Force-staff forward, trying to kill off the axe, but meanwhile, Cold Snap goes the other way. The Ice Wall is not going to catch onto that Enchantress, and neither is that jump, maybe? Yeah, this is going to be a dead Earth Spirit. I think now you need to back out if you're Infamous. This is getting a little bit too scary. Now Lion already dead, as well as the Earth Spirit and the Lifestealer. That's going to be all the casualties for now.
This'll come in handy.
Yeah,
Oh!
They're going to chase out.
Jumps after and is not actually going to get caught out in that tornado. A second Ice Wall, and that might dissuade them from going any further.
All right. So Roche comes up here pretty soon. Blink Dagger online. They are out one side, and they do not have natural super destroying heroes, right? Like Slark is all single target damage with the exception of Dark Pact. Enchantress all single target damage. They're not really well equipped to handle having a lane of racks out, especially not this early. Which basically all that means is either they're going to have to shift their building priorities, or they're going to have to start just farming out heroes. Like, Enemy, to win this game, will have to just start going out and killing people nonstop until they're able to roll through.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And I'm looking at this situation now as well. 14 to 21, the net worth graph still very much a pretty substantial lead. I want to try and fix this. Can you try talking for a second?
Sure.
Okay, no, we're still not there. There's a little bit of an echo going on with Discord, and unfortunately, Skype is not working. So we'll try and fix that next time. But a huge advantage right now for the side of Infamous, and it looks like they are going to be at least able to spot out the Slark Shadowbladed up. He's got the Echo Saber, and now the push is going to go towards this tier 3 in the top lane.
Yeah, fortunately for our technical problems, it looks like we'll have an opportunity to deal with them very soon if Enemy do not have just a perfect engagement.
Oh, they jump forward. The Rage. That was a really nice Rage coming out from Kotaro Hayama. And the tier 3 tower still not completely dead, but starting to drop down fairly low. They are going to be able to get the silence back out, and that's just to clear out that creep wave.
And yeah, they'll back up for a quarter second, get some health back up onto the lifesteal, and just move back in. And they can do this tidal chipping away, like erosion on the seashore, right? All day long.
Oh, they get the ward up on the high ground. That's going to scout out a lot of stuff coming out, and it's still going to be BSJ getting initiated on. He's going to drop so quickly. So much damage coming out. They've already found 1 and 2. Now maybe going to be able to find a third. That's going to be the third one coming out. Now the Drizzle dropping low. They don't have the silence coming out as of yet from that Earthshaker, or Earth Spirit rather. They've lost now on the Enchantress, and Sovereign may be going to be the next one to fall. There's just too much damage. Like, they're so outmatched at this point with what they're capable to bring to the table, and Slark is going to look for something, but honestly, who do you go on at this point? If you jump on any of these one heroes, you're going to get called by Axed or, stunned by the Earth Spirit. I feel like Slark just needs a BKB and damage items abound. They get the silence again onto the puck, but or rather onto the Invoker, but now he gets called again, and GG gets called. It's over.
Yeah, there's just not a lot left to do here for Enemy. They did, I think, at the beginning, a good job of trying to avoid their draft's pitfalls, but Infamous did a much better job of hitting their power spikes and making sure that they have push windows exactly where they needed to be. Like, literally called this out almost point by point in the draft, right? Infamous knew exactly what they needed to do in theory. It was all on paper, and in a rare showing, they actually took it from paper and put it into the real world.
Really well played all across the board. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, we're going to try and sort out any of the technical difficulties. I want to apologize for them. They don't always end up coming up, but when they do, we'll try and take care of them for you. Infamous versus Enemy is going to be up next. EnemyGG, game number 2. We're going to see if they're going to move on or going to end up getting dropped down to the lower bracket. Again, the rest of the games that are going to be taking place, we do after this have DC versus Dragneel, and then later on, Not Today versus Freedom. Stick around, everybody, for more from the Nanyang Championships.